We are here today to honor and celebrate the service of Rick Pointer. Those of you who love and respect Rick, would you please come forward? And do it quietly, yes. Thank you. Steve Giulio, he has border collie tendencies that are just very beneficial. Well, it's truly an honor and a privilege to be able to recognize Rick and to thank him for his service to the college. These last 2.5 years, he has served as our provost. He's done such a remarkable job. When I'm on the road raising money, I often think about what you need in a donor includes both a capacity and a willingness. And when I think of Rick's service to us as a provost, often you have people of capacity who lack willingness and people of willingness who lack capacity. And it was just such a beautiful gift to the college that Rick both has the capacity and he was willing truly to sacrifice his own ambition in order to serve the greater good of the college. Being a provost is much like running a gauntlet. You never know for sure where the pummeling is going to come from. You just know it's coming. And when I was thinking about today, I wanted to just read to you, these are 10 qualities that over the years I have really used in identifying what makes for great leaders. And these are not original to me. In fact, they're original to Benedict of Nursia and date back to the 6th century. And these were taken from the rule of St. Benedict when choosing an abbot to oversee the other monks, which I often think is such an appropriate comparison to the role of a provost in overseeing a faculty. 10 qualities: leads from a foundation of integrity, displays wisdom and judgment, has the ability to absorb and undo the evil of others, works with understanding and respect, works for the greater good, is temperate in all matters, balances a confidence in his ability with humility and respect, is calm, loyal, prudent, and discerning, hires well, communicates clearly, trusts, balances a concern for the welfare of the monks with the greater need to achieve positive results. We're going to have 4 people share about Rick, and then we're going to open it up briefly for comments from you who feel led. And then I have a brief presentation to make to Rick at the end. Bill, would you come?
Hi, Rick. You know, I was thinking about what is it meant to work with Rick? Well, for starters, it's nice to be able to work with someone who's competent, and I've certainly been working with someone who is competent. It's nice to be able to work with someone who works hard. I certainly have been doing that. It's nice to be able to work with someone who you respect, and I've had that as a boss. It's nice to be able to work with a friend, and I have that. At times there's been a challenge of being the peanut butter between the 2 pieces of bread, you know, my boss and who I boss, but, you know, I like peanut butter, so it works. It's nice to be able to work with somebody who you believe listens to you, and I do believe I've been listened to. Doesn't always do what I say, but that's okay. That's why they paid him the big bucks. It's nice to be able to work with somebody who's interested in what you're doing, what I was doing. And I think for this particular season, it's been very special to me to be able to partner with Rick on some of the things that we have partnered on. It hasn't been his work and my work. It's, in some respects, it's been our work. And I certainly point to the Istanbul program, which as we speak, we have 22 students and a couple of faculty members in Istanbul right now. Sure, that's a program with the off-campus programs department, but we can't give Barb Pointer all the credit. But truly, it was a partnership, and there would not be an Istanbul program today. I can say that with complete honesty, and that if Rick had not been provost to partner with me on that, I would not have pulled that off alone. So I think my 2 minutes are up. Thank you, Rick. It's been great, and enjoy the history department.
After I agreed to say a few words for Rick, my first thought was, I have no idea what to say. Then I thought, I know, I'll do a Mad Lib, because Rick Pointer loves Mad Libs. My wife said, actually, I think that's you're thinking of there. You're the one who loves them. But I thought, who cares? So I looked in Chaucer's books and found a special Mad Libs for college administrators. And so I went around campus this morning asking people to help me fill in the words. I went around my office, the DC, the library, the bookstore, Kerwood, asked random students and staff and faculty, even posted a message on Facebook asking for words, got replies from Westmont alums. But I'm not quite done. High-risk strategy. I need you to supply me with 4 more words. A noun, adjective, transitive verb, and plural noun. So give me a noun. Balloon. Okay. Perfect. Adjective. Epic. Sorry? Tepid? Epic. Epic. Oh, excellent. Good. Okay. Verb ending in ing.
Running.
Can do that. Plural noun. All right. If this goes badly wrong, you are partly responsible. The role of provost is crucial in a college. Many would say that the provost is the number 42 administrative officer of the college, reporting harshly to the president. In other words, if the president is like the captain of the ship, the provost is like its sanitation worker. A recent job description, and I quote, says, "The provost is the dean of the balloon with primary responsibility for the academic jelly." It says further that, quote, "The individual selected must embody and pummel with startledness the character of the college." The provost also must be involved in the nitty-gritty business of shuffling, tenure, and promotion of faculty ninjas. These are sensitive matters, to put it mildly, as even the most brilliant academic can become epic or moldy when swung. I suppose that's why people often say that leading faculty members is like running chipmunks. Rick has served us faithfully for many months, but deep down we all know he has the pinky of a scholar. So, after a well-deserved sabbatical, he's looking forward to returning to his history books and goats. He's done a magnificent job, so on behalf of all of us, chipmunks, I would like to say there's no such thing as a free lunch, and thank you, Rick.
Well, I first have to ask permission from my boss if I can curtail my 10 o'clock class in order to come and speak about you today.
Briefly.
This was one of those invitations that one really couldn't refuse. Speaking about Rick is a happy and a pleasant task in a way that speaking about the moral indiscretions of Jean-Jacques Rousseau, which is what I was doing earlier this morning, isn't in quite the same way. And one of the things that makes it even more pleasant and happy, I think, is precisely how a good chunk of Rick's work in the Provost's office hasn't been particularly pleasant and happy. As some of you know, I live right next door to Rick. I'm a member of the history department. And so I've had a number of conversations with Rick over the last 2.5 years along the how's it going variety. And I have just been so blessed and so challenged by Rick's commitment to serve us. I remember when I heard the news in the summer of 2011 about the provost whom we had appointed not being able to come, my immediate feeling, as I imagine it was for so many of you, was I feel very sorry for Rick. But I doubt that many of us had the feeling of, I wonder whether he'll continue to do it. Rick is such a servant that I think it was so easy for us to expect and assume that he would continue to fill the breach and continue to serve, even though it wasn't exactly where he wanted to be. And we in the faculty, Rick, and the rest of the college community are greatly in your debt for your willingness to do that. Rick's challenge to serve, frankly, is a real challenge to me. We live in a culture of self-fulfillment, and we spend so much of our time trying to figure out what we want to do, what's going to make us happy. In Rick, I see somebody who's Christ-like. I don't want to compare the provost's office to the crucifixion, quite. But there is a sense in which Rick has endured. I was reading Matthew 16 this morning, where Jesus says if we're to follow him, we must deny ourselves, take up our cross, and follow him. And so how appropriate at a Christian community like ours that we should have an example of that at the very highest level of our administration. For those of you who aren't on the faculty, I just want to reassure you of something. Rick has done such an outstanding job as provost that you may be worried that he's wasting his gifts by going back to the faculty. Let me assure you that Rick is a remarkable scholar. There's a few of our history students here today. A common refrain from them over the last few years has been, why can't we have Dr. Pointer back? Some of you may have seen the graduation caps of the history people last summer with free Pointer on the back, a reference to his imprisonment in the office and also a subtle tribute to his love of Duke basketball. But Rick is a remarkable scholar. I was looking at the hundreds of libraries across the world this morning which have taken up his 2 books. His inaugural lecture in his endowed chair on the task of the Christian historian is one that I regularly assign to my students as one of the best reflections that there is out there on what it means to be a historian. And so we're so grateful, Rick, that you're coming back. I just want to close with that on behalf of the faculty and on behalf of the history department. Welcome home.
Well, Rick, I probably can't look at you. It's hard to look at him and be able to speak. But it has been a joy for me to be able to partner with Rick. And one of the things that I have loved most about my time at Westmont has been the partnership that student life has had with faculty. And Rick was one of those faculty members that I have always loved working with and always enjoyed, sharing a meal with or being with. But somewhere in the midst of this new gift of being able to partner in our work more directly, it has been a gift beyond words, and it is really becoming a part of the things that I'd always known were a part of Rick, and it's something about his heart. I just think he listens with his heart. And sometimes the burden of what has been a provost holding that responsibility, why that has been a burden for Rick is because he does that so much. And he really not just listens with his heart, but I think he absorbs the pain that is around him or the confusion or the difficulty, but also the joys. But all those things begin to become a part of who he is. And in that way, I have come to just treasure Rick as a friend, so much more than as a colleague, although I know that will also continue. And I have come to understand why so many students talk about Rick. And I do echo the things that Alistair said, because I hear it from students, and I love seeing the free pointer on their caps, because that seemed to capture so much of how students feel about Rick. And so I am grateful, as so many others have already said, Rick, for the sacrifice that you have given to us as an institution. We really needed you these last years. And I just think that you have not only filled a gap that was needed, but you stepped in and really tried to make everything better for the provost that will be coming. And I just think I love the way you committed yourself, not to just being a placeholder or keeping things afloat, but really to make us better and make us better prepared for the provost that would be coming. And Barb, I have to say to you and to Katie, who's also here, that there is a sacrifice that you all gave, and a willingness that you had to trust God with Rick's health, with Rick's just the energy and the time that this would take, and you did it too. And so all of you together, we are so grateful as a community. So thank you so much. We right now are going to open this up for others to share. Is that all right, Gail? That's correct. And so first of the sharers, though, is somebody who got to be a part of this man's life every day. And so Barb is going to start us off, but get ready to come with some of your other thoughts as well. So Barb.
Well, in reflecting the last few days about what I could say, which I could go on for hours actually, I remembered a conversation that I had with Rick very early on. And, well, sometimes I say things rather bluntly and naively, and I think I said something like, wow, you're doing such a great job. And he looked at me and he kind of smiled with a little twinkle in his eye, and he said, well, I've been observing provosts my entire academic career, and I have a pretty good sense about what I want to do in this office. And I just think that this was just a great example of what he had, his thought process all those years, and then the action that he took. And it's not easy going from the life of a faculty member to come into an office where you're busy almost every minute of the day. Your life almost spins out of control at times. But he was able to manage his time, to set his priorities, to keep his eye on the ball, to think carefully about every presentation, every word he wrote. And, you know, I just came away with tremendous respect, and it's just been an incredible pleasure for me to work with you for 2.5 years. And I just can't say enough about how happy I am that you're going back to the classroom, to where your students will get that wonderful intellect that you have and your opportunity for scholarship. So bless all of you. And I do have something to read from Tatiana. Tatiana Nazarenko, our Dean of Educational Effectiveness, is at a workshop today, and she asked me to read this very brief statement. So she said, let me declare that Rick has been an excellent boss from the first day of my being on campus. In my career, Rick was the only supervisor so far who came together with his wife, Barb, to help me with the house I bought a year ago. While Barb was fighting knee-high weeds in my backyard, Rick disassembled a non-compliant wall, I think that means an illegal wall, in my garage. And she just says, Rick, I'm glad that you're finally free, and let me state that we will miss you.
Rick, you've been an outstanding boss. I've really enjoyed working with you. I think the characteristics I've most appreciated are your steadiness, especially in the beginning when I was a little bit hysterical about what needed to be done in the library, your wisdom, your listening ear, and your support with the vision that we had to move the library. And I can say to all of you that the support that Rick provided for the vision for that library facility and for the library programs were a big reason why it happened. That library would not be what it is today, moving towards excellence, without your strong support. So I want to thank you for that.
Anyone else? We have Randy Vanderbeek. Come quickly if you're thinking of saying something, because I know it's warm and probably people are needing to get back to things. So,
this is entirely off the cuff, but heartfelt. I've seen more of Rick in the last few days than I probably have in the previous 4 years because of the C.S. Lewis wardrobe reception, welcome back. And Rick has had a lot to do with that from beginning to end and has been just the major player behind the scenes there. And when I welcomed him to our department the other day and said, "That's great that you could join us for this reception," he looked at the wardrobe and said, "After all I've been through, I own that thing." And I took that just at face value at that time, a pleasant figure of speech, but then I think about the way he has conducted himself in the office of provost, acting provost, and he can say about that too, "I own that thing." Because he's been all there. I've come to know him best in the course of personnel committee meetings and faculty searches. And those are some of the highest, I think, some of the most grave tasks that we perform at the college. And in every case, Rick was not only with it, with the process and with the people, but also ahead of the process and ahead of the people while still being very much with them. So that's a place where I say he showed me that he was entirely owning that office, not just presiding over it. And the part of owning a thing is to realize when it's time to pass on ownership to another and to acknowledge that it's been a season and that another season has arrived. And I see no signs of stress. He's keeping them well hidden if he's feeling the stress of letting it go. Seems perfectly willing to let this season pass. So thank you, Rick, for being that person. Thank you.
I'm Ruby Jean Shelton. I'm the secretary for the history department at Westmont. So I just want to say welcome back, Rick. Oh, and also I wanted to hear what your top 5 films are that are based in like U.S. history. Like, is it Glory? Which ones? The top 5.
Rick, I wanted to say personally thank you for your hard work in the provost's office, and having been across the little hall from you for a while, I know how hard you were working. Thank you for the support that I felt while I was there, and also for taking the office and not just being a caretaker, but moving it forward. I think specifically about the Istanbul program. I think about the interdisciplinary initiatives that you've started and some of those things. So thank you so much, Rick.
You got me into this.
I did beg Rick to consider doing this, but we've heard so many people who have worked very closely with Rick. And I'm just a faculty member who has appreciated him closely while working at a distance. And the thing that has stood out to me about Rick is, and this has come up before, but his capacity to listen, but listen autonomously and fairly. So in my exchanges with Rick, he has, as a department chair and in other capacities, he's been able to say no in a way that it still persuades you've been heard. He's been able to say, not right now, but we're trying, in a way that actually sounds authentic and is persuasive that he is trying. And, well, I've actually never heard him say yes. No. We're not. No, he says yes in a way that gives you room to be appreciative without feeling like you've been thrown a sop. So, Rick, I so grateful for who you've been in this office, and know that you'll take it back to the classroom in your scholarship.
As you came today, there was a beautiful soundtrack playing that is Rick's favorite band, and we have a small token of our appreciation that you will be able to enjoy. Rick, this is for you. Do you have any response that you'd like to make? Or? Sure. We'd like to let Rick make a brief response, but again, Rick, is just with a tremendous heart of gratitude that we say thank you, and it's a wonderful thank you, and that you get to go back to what you love most and continue to serve the college, so thank you.
Well, thanks everybody for being out here, and you're hotter than I am at the moment, so I'll try to be real brief here. It's really, I just want to say a few words of thanks, not only to those of you who are here, but to the whole community. It's impossible to thank everybody by name, but there are at least some groups and some individuals that it would be a real oversight on my part not to identify as worthy of a public thank you. And that starts with President Beebe. He got me into this, so to speak. That was an act of faith on his part, and I appreciate the confidence that he showed me in, first of all, inviting me into this role, but every day since. He has been a constant source of encouragement and support and partnership, and that's really important for provosts and presidents. I can't quite imagine having done the job if that had not been true. So, Gail, thank you so much for your part in making this an incredible opportunity and privilege for me. It has been, as you've heard, lots of hard work. There's no denying that, but it has been a real privilege to be given so much responsibility and so much opportunity to shape a place that I've certainly come to love deeply and feel is home in every sense of that word. Then to my fellow vice presidents and members of the E-Team, it has, again, truly been a joy to work alongside you, to get to know you, to spend, at the very least, our 3 hours together every Wednesday afternoon, and to come away from those times not only refreshed by the capability and the sense of confidence I could have in your ability to do your work well, but that sense of being refreshed personally and spiritually by our times together, and just gaining a new confidence in the future of Westmont, the sense that we are really blessed to have such strong and competent and caring individuals leading the college at this point in our history. A number of you have been my direct reports. Several of you have talked about me as a boss. I've never bossed anyone in my life till I had this job. I mean, literally, I never had anyone working for me before, and then suddenly I'm supposed to know what I'm supposed to say to you. And I have fumbled my way along, and you have been incredibly gracious and patient as I have tried to, if nothing more, be an encouragement to you in your work and to try to come alongside you. So thank you for your patience and your support and your willingness to take me where I was in terms of being able to really provide any help to you at all. Another person who is connected to the provost office that I want to thank, although she doesn't report to me, is Toya Cooper. Toya has many roles at the college, some of which directly link to the provost office, and she has been a never-failing source of insight and wisdom and good sound advice on the many issues that require not only legal counsel for the provost, but just a sense of wisdom in making good judgments about how to deal with the many sensitive issues that come up. Tomorrow afternoon, I'll have a few more minutes with the faculty to say some words of appreciation to them. So for now, I'll simply make a generic comment that my colleagues have been incredibly gracious to me and supportive, and for that, obviously, I'm very, very grateful. Many of you today are from staff areas in Kerwood and beyond that a typical faculty member has relatively little contact with, and yet over these last 30 months I have seen many of you on a daily basis, and again have come away from my time in Kerwood with just a much better sense of what you do, but more than that, just a great sense of appreciation for the Westmont family and team. Wherever we have partnered or interacted, folks have been so helpful and creative and thoughtful, and it really is a marvelous pleasure and privilege to feel a much stronger connection to so many areas than I would have otherwise. On a day-to-day basis, almost an hour-to-hour basis, I've had contact with a handful of you. Ray, for the year we spent together in the provost office, thank you so much for, again, not only your competence, but your sense of support and encouragement, and for the sacrifice you made for many years to be Associate Dean. It was my pleasure to help liberate you back to your first love in mathematics. Tatiana was kind enough to send that note. She and I, over the last year and a half, have worked hard in an area that's very challenging, program review and assessment, and I think we've made collectively for the college some important strides that position us to be in a much better place. And she has made a transition to a very different kind of institution and community here, and it's been a pleasure to work with and for her in many ways. Many of you know that Patty Hunter this year has been half-time in the provost's office as vice provost. I see you back there, Patty. Patty was very kind when it became clear that I would be continuing in this role this semester or this year to on the spur of the moment, agree to come help me. And she's done a wonderful job. It's been a pleasure and a delight to work alongside her. And so thank you very, very much, Patty. Bill, where are you? Well, Bill has endured almost as much as the two Barbs. Almost no issue. I was going to say no issue, but there's been one or two I managed to handle on my own. But almost no issue over the last 30 months has been decided or reflected upon that Bill wasn't right alongside me. And I was saying to him yesterday as we had our sort of last one-on-one meeting, if there hadn't been a Bill for Rick in terms of knowing even what I was supposed to do from day one, I don't think Westmont would have collapsed, but Rick would have collapsed for sure. Bill has been the best of colleagues to work with. He has an incredible, not only knowledge of the history and character of the institution, but an incredible love for Westmont. And that shows in the way in which he does his work and the way in which he is faithful in his service. And as he said in his words to me, truly it's been an honor and a privilege to work with such a good friend. So thank you, Bill. And Barb, wow. Barb has been there in the office, I think with one exception. One day I beat her, but she's been there before me every day and ready to roll with whatever was coming down the road, and usually way ahead of me in terms of knowing what I needed to be thinking about, and always with a smile, always with an encouraging word, always ready to be hospitable not only to those of us who work in the office, but to everyone else who comes. And she has been just an incredible delight to work with. I will miss parts of the office, other parts not so much, but I will deeply, deeply miss working with you every day, Barb. Finally, let me just say, that my greatest debt of gratitude is to my family, to my 3 daughters and son-in-law who have been very encouraging and have been sources of release and relief from the pressures of the job. They have been a wonderful source of love and support, and Katie is here today, and I thank you, Kate, for being here and just being an ever-present source of love and encouragement. And then Barb has just been incredible. Not that she wasn't in the prior 30 years, but these last 2.5 years, and I really have to say these last 3 years since the Tea Fire, the last 3+ years have been probably, in most respects, the most challenging years of my life. And Barb has just let me be who I needed to be in this work and in this life over that time period in a way that is just the essence of what it means to love another person. And so she has let me work a lot. She's let me be crabby when I needed to be crabby, at least most of the time. She has inspired me to do better. She has comforted me when something in the job has just really pained me or disappointed me or kept me awake. One of the things that I recall is that when I did a kind of a mini interview for the position, several groups of people asked me, what keeps you awake at night? And I kept saying, right now, not a whole lot. And they said, well, just wait. And, there are things in this role that do keep you awake at night. Most of them are really important things. That requires having a partner alongside of you who can understand that and endure it and go that journey with you. So Barb, in this very public way, I say, with all of my heart and mind, thank you, and I love you, and thank you for the way in which you've served Westmont in that support for me. Well, that was a lot longer than I thought. We teachers, as soon as you give us a mic, we get going. But thanks, everybody, and it's very easy for me to leave this job with Mark Sargent coming. You all are going to be served so well by Mark. And I look forward to being on sabbatical come February 1st and being on Europe semester come August 23rd and rejoining sort of the normal day-to-day pattern of things here next January. So thank you.
Thank you for coming. Enjoy your afternoon.